One night, a monster chased my hero. He ran in fear, trying to escape from it. My hero wondered why such misfortune had fallen on him. When he was cornered and the monster was about to attack, he cried out for help. Suddenly, a girl appeared and defeated the monster in an instant. She smiled at him, leaving my hero shocked by what he had just experienced. After the incident, my hero brought the girl to his house. The next morning, they had breakfast together. The girl cheerfully talked about the night before, saying that if she had not been there, my hero might have been in serious danger. She told him there was no need to thank her. When my hero asked her to explain what had actually happened, the girl avoided the question, talking instead about her food. She quickly turned on the television because it was time for a superhero show. While watching, she commented that Earth was fun, and the bright morning had already lifted her spirits. My hero asked why the monster had been after him, but she dodged the question again, saying that the miso soup was delicious and asking my hero to get her another serving. Taking the chance while she was distracted, my hero threw his fork in her arm. Startled, the girl asked what he was doing. My hero insisted that she explain about the monster and who she really was. The girl finally introduced herself as Naruko. My hero immediately guessed that she must be connected to Cthulhu. He knew a little about it from reading Lovecraft's works, and in his mind, Naruko should have looked like a terrifying creature with twisting tentacles or surrounded by a sickening fog. Naruko replied that if my hero really wanted her to look like that, she could transform, but warned that doing so would cost him his soul. Naruko explained that she had come to Earth because she had a mission to complete. She described her role in detail, and my hero realized that she was basically an alien working for a planetary defense organization sent to protect Earth. My hero found it strange to think that the god Cthulhu was actually an alien. He did not know if he could believe all of it, but Naruko insisted that she was telling the truth. She revealed that she had received information about a major deal involving a criminal organization she had been chasing for a long time. They were involved in interstellar drug trade, smuggling across the galaxy, and even human trafficking. My hero was shocked to hear this and wondered if that was why they were after him. Naruko admitted that they were indeed dealing in human trafficking, but assured my hero that he had nothing to worry about because she was there to protect him. My hero was surprised that Naruko even knew his name. She confessed that she had done thorough research about him, even knowing that his parents were away on their 17th honeymoon. Naruko then declared that she would stay by his side at all times to protect him. She said she would remain close to him from the moment he greeted the morning till he said goodnight. Embarrassed by her words, my hero's face turned red. Naruko teased him, saying that he looked cute when he blushed. Irritated, my hero pointed his fork at her. Naruko quickly apologized, promising not to interfere with his personal matters again and to keep his secrets safe. She then urged my hero to leave the house because it was dangerous to stay there. The two of them went to an anime shop. Naruko was thrilled to see so many of her favorite comics and wanted to collect them all. Annoyed, my hero jabbed her with his fork again. He reminded her that he thought she had come to protect him. Naruko admitted that protecting my hero was her main mission, but she also had other goals like catching the criminal organization and shopping. My hero suspected that the last one was only her personal desire. Naruko explained that Earth had been marked as a top priority for the Planetary Defense Organization. She also said the reason she came to the anime shop was because it contained entertainment, and the entertainment on Earth was the best in the universe. That was why beings like the so-called Cthulhu gods were interested in coming here. They wanted to use their powers to obtain such things. My hero told her not to do that. Naruko went on to say that the criminal group she was chasing was guilty of smuggling creative works like these. There were strict limits on how much could be obtained legally, which made them rare. My hero asked her to return everything she had bought, but Naruko argued that it was not a crime unless she was caught. My hero had recorded what she said and threatened to report her to her superiors if she did not do her job properly. Naruko, however, still wanted to buy the items, proudly showing that she even had a membership point card. After leaving the anime store, Naruko looked overjoyed. Izuka admitted that she was happy too because she had finally gotten her job, explaining that she had to negotiate with her boss to secure it. Naruko then mentioned how the whole universe seemed to enjoy Earth's entertainment, but she had another reason. When she saw the data about the person she was assigned to protect, she heard a sound effect in her head, like when an enemy appears in a game. In other words, that person was her type. My hero was shocked by that confession. Naruko declared that it was love at first sight. My hero felt uncomfortable when Naruko hugged him. He reminded her that she shouldn't mix work with personal feelings, especially since my hero assumed that her mission was only to protect his life. Naruko replied that she was still getting paid, which confused my hero since she had just been shopping. Naruko then asked if they should get started with the job. Without warning, she pushed my hero and pulled him into another dimension. There she managed to punch a monster that was about to capture my hero. As it turned out, Naruko had used Mahiro as bait, and it worked. Mahiro couldn't believe it since he thought they left the house simply because it was dangerous there. Naruko told him not to worry because she had already set up a barrier at home which allowed her to fight without attracting too much attention. Mahiro looked frustrated and asked if she was really serious about protecting him. Naruko firmly stated that she was, and she would prove it by showing the strength of space close quarters combat, also known as hand-to-hand fighting. Naruko jumped straight at the monster and struck it with a powerful kick. The scene even made Mahiro wince. Not stopping there, she followed up by using a chunk of rock as a weapon. Mahiro turned his head away, refusing to watch because it was just too intense for him. Once the monster was defeated, Naruko was thrilled with her victory, but Mahiro commented that she looked more like the villain than the hero. She quickly returned them both to their original dimension. Mahiro thanked her for saving him, and she blushed, saying it was part of her job. She admitted again that she really liked him and leaned in as if to kiss him, but Mahiro immediately rejected the idea. The next morning, Mahiro prepared to go to school. He asked Naruko if it was really okay for him to walk there alone. Naruko reassured him, saying she would come right away if there was any sign of danger. When Mahiro arrived in class, Takahiko greeted him and asked why he looked so exhausted. Mahiro said it wasn't easy to explain. Takahiko assumed it must be difficult living without his parents and offered to help, telling Mahiro he could always talk to him about it. Later that day in Class 2-4, a transfer student was introduced. The teacher asked the new student to step forward and introduce herself. To Mahiro's shock, the transfer student was none other than Naruko. She entered the classroom smiling and announced herself as the chaos that had come crawling to Mahiro. She constructed a strange celebratory pose that embarrassed him. Unable to take it, Mahiro threw a book at her and said that nobody had called for her. During her introduction, Naruko claimed that she was part of Mahiro's family, giving her full name as Yasaka Nyarlathotep, but told everyone they could call her Naruko. During gym class, Takahiko admitted he never knew Mahiro had relatives overseas. He praised Naruko, saying she was amazing for capturing the class's attention so easily, speaking Japanese fluently, and being really athletic. Mahiro understood that Naruko's reason for enrolling was to protect him, but he was still confused why she had to go as far as joining his school. Naruko, however, seemed cheerful about it. At that moment, Tamao, nicknamed the Walking Speaker, she asked if something was bothering him. Mahiro wanted to know what Tamao actually wanted. It turned out that Tamao was hoping to interview him. She asked how Mahiro really felt about Naruko, especially since they were two young adults living under the same roof, and she assumed Naruko might be missing her hometown. What Mahiro didn't know was that Tamao had already spoken with Naruko earlier, and Naruko had openly said she was in love with Mahiro, though she wasn't sure how he felt in return. Mahiro was stunned that Naruko had said something like that. He didn't answer Tamao's question, but Tamao quickly concluded that Mahiro felt the same way. Excited, she rushed off to tell everyone. Mahiro tried to stop her, but it was too late. Tamao had already spread the news to their classmates. During lunch break, Naruko brought a homemade bento for Mahiro, saying she had prepared it with love like a wife would. Mahiro told her that she did not need to go through all that trouble since he could just buy bread for lunch. Naruko looked a little sad hearing his response because all she really wanted was to sit next to him and share a meal. Instead, Mahiro seemed to think that store-bought bread would taste better than the lunch she had carefully made. Tamao stepped in and suggested that Mahiro should eat the bento, reminding him how much effort Naruko had put into it. She also felt it would be too harsh to let Naruko's feelings go to waste. In the end, Mahiro gave in and agreed to try it. Naruko became overjoyed and quickly presented the lunchbox. The food looked normal, which surprised Mahiro since he had not expected her to have the time to cook all of that. Naruko explained that she could move faster than logic could explain, but Mahiro suspected she was just exaggerating. She asked him not to worry about the details. When Mahiro tasted the food, he admitted he had never eaten fried meat like that before and asked what kind of meat she had used. Naruko only smiled and turned her head away without answering. Since she stayed quiet, Mahiro threatened to throw the food away. Naruko reassured him that it was nothing dangerous and promised it was safe. She also teased him by saying that the next day she would prepare a BLT sandwich using strange names from her world, which made Mahiro warn her not to use monsters as ingredients. Later in class, Mahiro noticed a monster outside the school. Terrified, he tried to call Naruko, but she was sound asleep at her desk while mumbling nonsense. To wake her up, Mahiro tapped her, which drew the teacher's attention. When asked what was going on, Naruko pretended she was suffering from a mysterious condition and asked permission to head to the student infirmary, insisting that Mahiro accompany her. As they walked down the hallway, Naruko explained that ordinary people could not see the monster because it was surrounded by a barrier. She then invited my hero to join her in defeating it. They shifted into another dimension and approached the creature, which turned out to be a Night Gaunt, the same kind of monster she had faced before. Tired of fighting the same enemy, she decided to use a monster capsule. She reached inside her clothes to retrieve it, causing my hero to look away with embarrassment. Naruko wondered why he reacted like that, while his face turned red and he muttered that she was the one who should be more careful. She then threw the capsule, summoning her pet bird, Shantak. Naruko ordered Shantak to attack the Night Gaunt with all its strength. Shantak charged at the Night Gaunt but was immediately struck down. Naruko admitted she had expected this, explaining that Shantak had already lost 99 battles and drawn once against a Night Gaunt. Confused, my hero asked why she would still use Shantak. Naruko answered with a strange saying about how things that perform poorly can still have a certain charm. The Night Gaunt advanced toward them, and my hero pleaded with Naruko to do something. She declared that she would use her secret move, second volume of Space CQC. Pulling out her staff, she struck the monster, and before long, the Night Gaunt split apart and was defeated. Back in her own dimension, Naruko laughed and said the fight had been entertaining. Meanwhile, my hero crouched down silently, shaken after witnessing the monster's blood. He then asked what kind of staff she had used. Naruko described it as an unspeakable staff, but my hero told her to stop mixing Cthulhu references into everything. That night, my hero was soaking in the bath, still wondering why all these things kept happening to him. Suddenly, Naruko appeared in the bathroom, startling him. My hero immediately demanded that she leave, but she claimed she wanted to deepen their bond before his parents returned from their trip. She moved closer, attempting to kiss him, but my hero quickly blocked her with a fork and firmly asked her to get out of the bathroom. That day, the number of monsters going after my hero kept growing. Naruko told him not to worry, since she would take care of them all. She tossed a grenade at the monsters, and the explosion wiped them out in an instant. My hero then asked how long this would keep happening, and if Naruko couldn't just find the monster's hideout and destroy it once and for all. Naruko was surprised that he thought it sounded that easy. It was true the monsters always seemed to be one step ahead, but from that moment on, Naruko decided that she and my hero would take the fight to them. She said it was finally time. Naruko opened a dimensional portal and everything around them froze. Even the birds in the sky hung motionless. She explained that the stars had aligned and that Rorie was about to rise to the surface. Soon, Naruko and my hero were sailing together. She claimed the day was perfect for a voyage and suggested they head for the Grand Line, but my hero refused. Then she said they could go treasure hunting, yet he still turned her down. She even suggested visiting the largest prison to free one of their allies, but my hero refused again. My hero then asked what kind of creature they were riding. It turned out to be a dragon acting as a water taxi to take them straight to Rorie. Naruko called the dragon sweet, which made my hero question her logic. She then teased him, saying he probably wouldn't believe how beautiful the dragon's girlfriend, Hydra, was. My hero had no interest in entertaining that thought. Since Rorie was known as a city tied to Cthulhu, my hero wondered why they needed to go there at all. Naruko reminded him that he was the one who wanted to put an end to the enemies, and she added that Rorie was also home to a black market auction house selling all kinds of forbidden goods. She figured they could take care of everything in one trip. Not long after, more monsters began gathering, all heading to Rorie as well. Naruko mentioned that Rorie was also home to the biggest amusement park in the universe, managed by a Cthulhu-based company on Earth. When they finally arrived, Naruko was thrilled. She pointed out the world's third largest roller coaster, the Lang Highlands go-karts, and explained that it took 2 hours just to get inside the Arkham attraction. She even showed my hero a mask shaped like the mascot from Innsmouth. Disgusted, my hero stabbed it with a fork. He grew frustrated, thinking they came there to stop the auction, not to play around, and told them to focus on the mission properly. Eventually, they reached the auction site, which Naruko had located using her divine radar. She handed my hero a small box, calling it a wedding ring. Shocked and annoyed, my hero threw the box down and stomped on it. Naruko quickly explained that she was only joking, and in reality, the box held a protective charm. Since they were about to infiltrate enemy territory, the charm would help keep him safe. My hero reluctantly picked it up, and the two of them went inside. My hero was surprised to find that the place was much larger on the inside than it looked from the outside. Naruko explained that the space was intentionally confusing. After walking for a while, they were confronted by a massive creature. It was Nodens, and Naruko had suspected all along that he was behind everything. Nodens announced that the players had finally arrived and the auction was about to begin. In an instant, Mahiro and Naruko were surrounded by a crowd of monsters. Naruko couldn't believe Nodens had gone this far, especially with her standing right there. She threatened to cut down both him and the guests if needed. Of course, Nodens knew she would try to stop him, so he ordered Thuko to fight her. Naruko was shocked, since Thuko was an enemy of the Nyarlathotepians. The two of them had attended the same kindergarten and grade school, and they had fought countless battles against each other since then. Mahiro nervously asked if Naruko couldn't defeat her, but Naruko admitted she had a weakness. This worried Mahiro, especially since Thuko seemed incredibly powerful. Suddenly, Thuko hurled a wave of fire at them. Naruko immediately shoved Mahiro aside to shield him from the flames. Thuko then grabbed Naruko by the neck and lifted her off the ground. Despite her strength, Naruko couldn't break free. Nodens quickly transported both of them to another place where no one else could see the fight. After that, Naruko was transported to a place called the Nodens Dimension, a space where her enemy's powers doubled while her own strength weakened. Naruko began to panic because Mahiro had been left behind. She needed to return quickly, since if she didn't, Mahiro would be in serious danger. Thuko, however, declared that she would not allow Naruko to leave that place. Naruko prepared to fight Thuko with her Outer Space CQC Part 5. She threw a grenade at Thuko, but Thuko easily deflected it. It turned out Thuko's Outer Space CQC was actually Type 100. Thuko then launched a barrage of laser fangs at Naruko, who swiftly dodged them, almost as if she were performing in some kind of dimensional circus. Thuko suddenly asked if Naruko remembered the love they once shared. Naruko admitted she didn't understand what Thuko was talking about. As Naruko countered another attack and hurled her staff toward her opponent, she was confident it would land a direct hit, but Thuko snapped the weapon apart with ease. Thuko then unleashed an overwhelming number of laser fangs. Naruko was shocked, since she had believed Thuko only had 2. Thuko simply replied that everyone grows stronger day by day. Naruko refused to accept that reasoning, arguing that unlimited laser fire was nothing compared to true hand-to-hand combat. Out of nowhere, Thuko quoted a line from their school textbooks, saying one should always believe in outer space CQC, even if others might not agree. As lasers rained down on Naruko, Thuko managed to restrain her on a bed.